All right, so we're still in the Baroque. This is now Flemish, so we're outside of um, Italy and Spain, and now we're moving up here more to the northern area. So we were down here. Sorry, we were down here in Spain and these areas. I forget it. All right, and now we're up in the northern areas. All right, so this is Peter Paul Rubens. He is a very famous Baroque artist, and one of the reasons he's so famous is because he created over 2,000 paintings. And he would do that by hiring other artists to work for him. He had this huge studio, and he would stand up on kind of like a balcony, and he'd look down over the studio, and he had all these artists down there working on his paintings, and he would like kind of do the original sketch out, then they would do the painting, and then he would go and he would do the final touches on the painting, and he would charge based on how much of the painting he actually did. So he would supervise a lot of pieces. He was kind of figured out how a way to make himself rich by doing this. So this is called Peter Paul Rubens. This is a altarpiece, and this is called Elevation of the Cross. So I just talked to you about his assistants helping paint. This is just a blow up. He did a lot with muscles and showed just used the muscles and the contortions of the body to show emotion. Okay, he also did a lot of paintings. The rich would go over to Africa and go on hunts, on safaris. And sometimes they would pay him to come along. Sometimes he would just paint them later, and he would just put them in this amazing setting, killing this lion, so it was not necessarily true, but he would do paintings for them of them doing the lion hunts. So so if you see an African painting that looks like some kind of hunt like this, is probably a Peter Paul Rubens. The other thing that Peter Paul Rubens was known for, which I didn't really show you in any of these, is he painted his women a little bit chunky. You can see this down here in this person. And so if you were a little bit chubby, you were called a Rubens woman. So that is a thing. So I can call myself a Rubens woman. So if you hear that, that's why they say that. This is Dutch Baroque now. So we're in a whole nother country. This is Rembrandt van Rijn, who's known as Rembrandt. Okay, Rembrandt is his first name. This is his full name. And this is called the Anatomy Lesson of Dr. Tulp. And Rembrandt painted a lot of portraits, and that's what this is. So this is a group portrait. These people all paid to have themselves in the portrait. That's why you can see all of their faces pretty clearly in here. They all paid to have themselves in here. And I just think that's gross, so I blow that up so you can see it. Okay. He revolutionized the concept of group portrait painting here by making it more natural and more like what would we call that? A snapshot, a candid photo and candid painting instead of a actual, stand them up, line them up and paint them that way. This is the company of Captain Frans Banning Koch, which is also known as Night Watch, and it is a very famous painting. And one of the reasons it was so famous is the people that hired him to do this were not very happy, because the focal point of this painting is this girl that's glowing here who wasn't supposed to be in the painting at all, and just got put in because Rembrandt, liked the composition of that and liked having her in there and kind of this mysteriousness she added to it. And they were not happy about it because it takes the focus off of them. So this is a humongous painting. It's 11 foot by 11 foot by 14 foot, which is huge. Okay, if you ever get a chance to see it, it is in the Louvre in Paris. All right, there you go. All right, later in his life, most of Rembrandt's portraits are self-portraits because he basically became a recluse in the end of his life, kind of a hermit. He didn't want to go anywhere. So we have lots of paintings, self-portraits of him. All right, and he also did a lot of etchings, which could be kind of like a woodcut. You etch it into glass and then you can print it over and over. So this is called the 100 Guilder print because they printed 100 of them, and it was mass produced and sent all over the place. So you could see multiples of this if you found it. And depending on whether it was the first one or the last one on, the first one is much clearer than the last one. That's what would happen with those. Okay, this is a painter who was not well known in his day during the Baroque period, but they discovered a lot of his paintings later, and he's become very famous. There's only, though, 38 paintings that we can attribute to them. He didn't always sign his work, and they think they find Vermeer's pretty often, but they can't always tell, and so then that has to go through this long process of being verified. So this is Jan Vermeer. This is called The Letter. Vermeer liked to do different perspectives, like looking through a door or catching a glimpse through a window or something like that, like you were peeking into someone's life. And we don't know what this letter was about, if it was from, somebody who'd gone off to war, or she's getting bad news, or it's good news, or whatever, but that makes it interesting. So definitely uses of light and dark, definitely asymmetrical, all the things that make it Baroque. Jan Vermeer, The Letter. Make sure you know the artist and the painting. This is Jan Vermeer as well. This is called The Allegory of the Artist of Painting. Still the same thing. See how he's kind of peeking into a room. She's lit over there. This is probably a self-portrait of him. This is his back, probably, more than likely. This painting was owned by Hitler, which is one of the reasons this painting is so famous. And he was going to use this as the center piece in this gigantic art collection he was trying to get by confiscating art from all the countries he conquered. So he would go in, he would raid their museums, their homes, especially the Jewish people's homes, and he would steal their art because he was going to make a humongous museum called the Führer Museum. And we're going to watch a movie about that true story of trying to get all that stuff back. So we'll do that at the end of the year. But this one he actually owned, and he was going to use it as a centerpiece. So, and if you guys didn't know, Hitler was actually an art student. He did not make it in art school, and so then he became a dictator. So I don't know what that says about artists. But anyway, but he was very interested in the arts. So blow up just of those. This is his most famous painting. Hopefully we've heard of this one. This is called The Girl with the Pearl Earring. Definitely his most famous piece, kind of attributed to, like, this is called the Baroque's Mona Lisa. Okay, so make sure you know that. Okay, then we're going to French Baroque. And this man was well known during his time, and they kind of forgot about his works because he only had 40 of them. This is Georges de la Tour, and he often used a candle as the only source of light in his paintings. And so he definitely used light and dark. This is called Adoration of the Shepherd. So this would be baby Jesus, a nativity scene here. Okay. This, again, candle as a single light source is called Magdalene with a smoking flame. So this is Mary Magdalene. And Mary Magdalene is often symbolized with her hand on a skull. If you guys are Catholic, you probably know that. So this is a religious painting as well, as most of the Baroques are. Then we're going to look at a little bit of Baroque architecture in France. So this is we had an Italian wing of the Louvre. This is the Baroque wing of the Louvre, and you can kind of see how it's much more detailed, a lot more ornate, a lot more fancy things in the ornamentation of the building. So otherwise still 3 layers, like Italian Renaissance, just a little different. The ultimate expression of the French Baroque, however, is the Palace of Versailles. So this is a top shot of it. So you can see how huge the Palace of Versailles is. All these different gray areas are all buildings. So this is it. It took a long time to build. I believe it was 100 years from the beginning to the end. Don't quote me on that, but it is a very, very, very long time. Okay, Palace of Versailles was built by Louis XIV, mainly. What do they say here? Here they say 12 years, but I don't think that's correct. So anyway, this is the inside with all the paintings. I'll look up how many years it took so I can tell you guys when you're in class. All right. So just very ornate, super fancy, but the most amazing and the most famous room in there is called the Hall of Mirrors, which is this room right here. Look at all the paintings, the Baroque paintings in there. Okay, and then all the glass. So you do not have to know who the artist of this is. You just have to know this is the Hall of Mirrors, and it is in the Palace of Versailles. Okay, make sure you're aware of that. And the same way with this, you don't have to know who did this. You just have to know this is the Palace of Versailles. You may have to know that it was King Louis XIV, though, so make sure you know that. All right. Okay, that's it for today.